I'm gonna be honest with you, I truly believe that Ilia Topuria really needed that loss. That humble pie was a blessing in disguise, and I'm gonna explain to you why. First, let's analyze the fight. The first round starts. Topuria controls the center of the octagon. He's putting pressure on Gaethje, walking forward, being aggressive, but Gaethje was fighting in a very smart way. He was circling around, he was landing the jab, he was throwing high kicks from time to time, and there were situations wherein Justin Gaethje would fake a single leg takedown, actually grab Topuria's leg, and then leave the leg, let it go, grab the neck, and land some dirty boxing uppercuts. So that was very smart by Gaethje. But in general, Gaethje in the first round was very intelligent because he was moving, he was circling, he was staying away from the crazy exchanges as much as possible. He was using the jab, using his height. I'm not gonna say reach because Justin Gaethje has only one inch reach advantage in comparison to Ilia Topuria, but he's significantly taller. They've got 4 inches difference when it comes to height. But my point is, Gaethje was very, very clever in the first round. Moving, circling, landing the jab, staying away, throwing right hands from time to time, throwing high kicks from time to time, and just being wise. But still, Topuria did manage to catch him, to get him stuck at the fence, and to unload and unleash and land some heavy shots, some heavy body shots, overhands. And in certain situations, it was a brawl. But even when they were brawling, I had personally expected that Topuria would just destroy Gaethje. But Gaethje was landing some counter hooks, some of them with the inside of the glove. They were a little bit strange, maybe a little bit like slaps, but still he was landing shots. He was countering well. So even when it was brawling time, even when you would think that Topuria would destroy Gaethje, Gaethje was landing shots, and you could see Ilia Topuria's face after the first round was actually badly hurt. You could see the marks on his face. Topuria was hurt after the end of the first round, but it was a positive ending to the round for Topuria, who got Gaethje stuck at the cage and really landed heavy shots. Then if we move on to the second round, Topuria completely controlled the whole situation. He was in the center of the octagon, putting pressure, applying pressure. He got Gaethje stuck at the cage wall, and there he unloaded with some deadly, brutal uppercuts. I mean, you saw Gaethje was at the cage wall, and Topuria really started just landing body shot after body shot after body shot. And these shots really hurt Gaethje terribly. I mean, you could see he made a sound, he kind of screamed because of the pain. And then they went to the ground, it was a knockdown. Gaethje fell to the ground, Topuria took his back, I believe. Then they ended up in a full mount situation. You could see Justin Gaethje, he was barely breathing, he could not even breathe. He was terribly hurt. Topuria landed shots, attempted some arm bars, did not manage to execute none of them successfully, but Gaethje survived the round. But that round was a very, very tough one for Gaethje, and Topuria hurt him badly. Many people would have quit during that knockdown. Many people would have just quit because Gaethje, he could not even breathe. He couldn't breathe. He kept on going. He was in a terrible situation for more than 2.5 minutes, but still he survived. Then we move on to the third round. In that round, Justin Gaethje landed that left straight, right straight. That right straight hurt Topuria so badly. Also the jab itself, both of the shots hurt Topuria so badly. And when Gaethje and Topuria were on the ground, you could see Topuria's face was on the ground, his blood was leaking. He was so tired, so badly hurt, in such an uncomfortable situation. And only people who have ever fought can explain to you how uncomfortable it is to have another man on top of you, putting his weight on you, when you're very, very badly hurt, tired, exhausted. But Topuria survived. He showed character, he survived. He stood up, he did eat a couple of right hands up until the end of the round. Also, Gaethje landed, I believe, one left high kick on Topuria with his toes, so it was not a perfectly landed high kick, but still it was a high kick. But Topuria survived that round. Then we go to the fourth round. I mean, Topuria was doing well in the fourth round. He did land some good shots, but then at a certain stage, Gaethje lands that right uppercut here to the eye socket. He probably broke a bone here, I guess. You could see Topuria's reaction. That was just terrible. He was so badly hurt. probably in such a terrible pain. Although you experience adrenaline, such heavy shots, you do feel them. So I can imagine that Topuria was in a very, very heavy pain. And then what happened was, the fight kept on going. Topuria still landed some good shots, even after being in such a bad state. He did land some good shots on Gaethje. And then they went to the ground, and Gaethje landed a couple of knees, maybe one or two knees, to Topuria's body, to his ribs. And you could really see Topuria's body just gave up. The pain was so heavy. Topuria's body just gave up. But there were 4 seconds up until the end of the round, so Topuria survived. Then he stood up, he walked as if nothing had happened. But trust me, Ilia Topuria was in grueling pain. His body was completely destroyed. And then, obviously, Topuria could not continue because his corner wanted him not to continue, and that's a smart decision, and I respect that. And for the people who are saying generational aura loss or these things, have you, for the people saying that, have you ever fought in a cage? Have you ever fought in a ring? Have you ever fought against another man in your life? Have you ever competed at the biggest stage in the world? Have you ever been badly hurt? Have you ever been in a situation where you're badly hurt, but you have to keep on fighting? Where you're completely exhausted and hurt, and your blood is leaking on the ground, and you see your own blood on the ground, but you have to keep on fighting. I can imagine that you have not been in such a situation. Well, Topuria was, and he gave his best to stay in the fight. Even after the third round, when the doctor told him you cannot continue, Topuria was angry. He wanted to continue, and he did continue, and he fought. It was a competitive fight. It could have gone either way, but Topuria's body just got terribly compromised. But my point is, why Topuria lost? Well, obviously he got hurt, but in my opinion, he started to feel himself invincible. He started to believe his own hype. He became overconfident. I mean, look at the photos which he was posting on his Instagram. He had posted a photo wherein he was lighting a candle in front of Justin Gaethje's photo, as if it were to be Justin Gaethje's upcoming funeral. The day before the fight against Justin Gaethje, Topuria was celebrating with his friends and family as if he had already got the victory. Even during the press conference, Topuria was saying that he would knock Justin Gaethje out within 2 minutes of the start of the fight. He even pushed Justin Gaethje during their stare down. He became overconfident. He started to feel himself invincible, and that played a terrible impact, because every single time that a person forgets who they are, every single time that pride starts to be in charge, you see what happens. There are terrible consequences. And we've seen that with every single MMA fighter, boxer, kickboxer, and person in general in the history of humanity. Every single person who becomes too pride gets punished. It might not happen, maybe it doesn't happen in the cage, or maybe it doesn't happen in the octagon or in the ring, but it will happen outside of it for sure, because cockiness and pride and all these low frequency, as a matter of fact, feelings lead to a bad end. And I believe Topuria needed that humble pie. You saw that after the fight, when he was leaving the octagon, he was actually covering his face with the towel. He did not want to be seen, so he probably felt shame and guilt, which I would not feel if I were him, because he felt like a lion up until the very last second. But he had become overconfident, he had become too arrogant, he had become too cocky, he had started believing his own hype. He was feeling invincible before the fight, and he needed that humble pie to get back to reality and to have a fresh restart. So I believe that fight was a blessing in disguise for Ilia Topuria, and it's a lesson which he will remember for the rest of his life. He did eat some heavy shots. He showed phenomenal character, fought like a lion. The fight was a brawl. The pace was crazy. True respect for both of these warriors. I'm happy for Gaethje, but I'm also happy for Topuria, because he can only learn from this, because he can come back as a more humble person. So that's a good lesson for him. And Gaethje, yeah, just how can you not be happy for him? I mean, he's been competing for so many years. He's been the most entertaining fighter on the UFC roster for more than a decade, and finally his dream came true. So I'm extremely happy for Justin Gaethje. I hope he has a great celebration of the victory. And for the people at home, make sure to follow our channel Boec-com, to subscribe on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook, to read our articles on our website Boec.com, and to follow this channel. We need your support, so subscribe, leave a comment, and let's make it happen. Boec.com, let's go. Oos.